the pursuant jargon. So we'll jump right to minutes of 2/16/23. Does anybody have any comments, edits, corrections?
Yeah.
I'm seeing head nods side to side. So with none, and thank you, Laura, for another excellent job. Do we hear a motion to accept the minutes of February 16th, 2023?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor by a roll call vote?
Lulick,
Yes.
Barrington,
Yes.
Gregory,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
and Pasamato.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay. First up is amendment to approved order of conditions, 206 Turnpike Road. In accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act, Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Southborough Wetlands Bylaw, Southborough Conservation Commission will conduct a public hearing on Thursday, March 9, 2023 at 7 p.m. by a virtual Zoom meeting. The commission will consider an amendment to an approved order of conditions, DEP number 290-1042 at 206 Turnpike Road, map 28, lot 3A for the applicant CAC Auto Group Boston LLC. The project description is to remediate the unpermitted pavement and install stormwater management infrastructure.
Hello, can you guys hear me all right? All right, my name is Dan Romero. I'm here on behalf of CAC Auto Group Boston LLC. I'm an engineer from Hancock Associates. I'm going to share my screen quick just so I can talk along with this and explain it better. Sure. You guys can see this screen?
Yes.
All right. So we're here requesting an amended order of conditions for unpermitted pavement that was done by a previous owner, and a portion of that is in the 100-foot buffer zone. I tried to break it up by color. This pavement is all here, the light gray, the dark gray, and this portion back here is existing pavement. The previous owner received an order of conditions issued on March 29th, 2019, and that was to repave the existing driveway up to this limit here. And the paving work that was done included an additional 7,000 square feet of pavement over here that was not permitted. A portion of that was within the 100-foot buffer zone. This red line is the 100-foot buffer zone, and this is the 20-foot no disturb. So we're here to request an amended order of conditions to try to remediate some of that. This portion, we're proposing to remove this portion of pavement and install stormwater management in this area with a catch basin here. And this portion we're proposing to remain for parking. So the proposed project will remove 1,800 square feet of pavement. And so the stormwater management system would be up to the Mass Stormwater standards. And we'd also be removing this, there's a shed back here as well that we'd be removing. So we're requesting an amended order of conditions to allow for this additional pavement that's already been done, which is after the fact. And our client is trying to remediate some of the things that the previous owner had done. So we're trying to go through the proper steps with you guys and whatever measures you guys need to get done, but that's what we're requesting. So if you guys have any questions, I'd like to open it up to you guys.
All right, thank you. Any questions from commission members?
So just to clarify, most of the pavement that will remain is outside of the 100-foot buffer zone or inside?
Most of the pavement that will remain will be outside. So
Okay.
another thing I forgot to mention, all of the pavement that will be removed is within the 100-foot buffer. So this portion here will be the only remaining portion within the 100-foot buffer zone. So yeah, does that answer your question?
Okay. Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to look at which side of the line I was looking at.
Yeah,
So,
I realized after the fact that the line wasn't clear, so I tried to draw a red line on top of it to try to show that.
And where you remove the pavement, what's going to go in there? Grass?
So this will be grass, yeah, loam and seed, and then it'll be an underground infiltration system that will lead, will connect to this chamber. So there's actually a ridge line right where the border of the existing pavement was. So all of the stormwater runoff on this portion of the pavement will lead to this catch basin and be captured by this proposed stormwater management system.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Melissa, do you have any comments?
I don't have any comments. I think I just reiterate this is kind of it was originally an after the fact for some paving that was done by a previous owner. The current owner is now kind of going through minor site plan and has realized this aspect, so they've come in to fix it. I think ultimately the only comment that I wanted to know about the timing, Dan, because this permit does expire in July. So if the commission is looking to amend it as well, that you might want to also vote for an extension if that timeline doesn't work.
And that would be for the, which permit would be the one that expires in July, the existing order of conditions?
Yep, the order of conditions.
Okay.
I've got a quick question also. I noticed that the peak flow mitigation for the stormwater was within the stormwater report. You show that you've mitigated for the 2-year and the 10-year, but there's no mention of the 100-year. Is there in fact an increase in the 100-year, or was it not looked at, or?
So we didn't go into the full analysis of the 100-year. As you know, the Mass Stormwater Standards does require attenuation for the 5 and 10, for the 2 and 10, and some type of analysis for damage that may occur in the 100-year storm. So for the 100-year storm, we would have to go into more of an analysis, and we can provide that for you. However much information you need on the 100-year.
So yeah, the DEP standard is mitigate the 2 and the 10-year storms and demonstrate that there's no adverse impact to any change in the 100-year storm. And so typically what we look for, well, I'll be honest, typically what we see is just there's a demonstration that there's a decrease in flow in the 100-year storm. Generally, if you're mitigating the 2 and the 10, it's, oftentimes pretty low, low-hanging fruit to get the 100 as well. But absent that, just some kind of analysis showing that there will not be an adverse impact to any increase in flow in the 100-year.
Yes, so our point of view there is just that when it overflows for the 100-year, that it will go directly to the wetlands, and we'll have a stabilized surface here. But yeah, like I said, we didn't attenuate the existing to proposed flows for the 100-year. And if that's something you require, we can up the stormwater system to handle the 100-year storm. I usually do that too in other projects. It's always meet the 100-year storm, but in this case, we tried to make it fit in this small area. So if that's something you will require, we can improve the system to handle the 100-year storm.
For my part, I'm just curious how far away you are from mitigating it. It sounds like during your design process, you probably got an idea of where exactly you fall. You know,
Yeah, I would have
without,
to, sorry, I would have to look into that again. I don't know the exact
Okay.
numbers off the top of my head. But I can look that up and get that information to you.
okay, and then, yeah, I mean, I just need to give that one a little bit of thought. We, at the very least, I think the trying to find a way to say this, the least amount of information that we've accepted to demonstrate, you know, no adverse impact is, I'm trying to recall what project this was, but we asked for, oh, it was over on Middle Road, Bartolini project. Peter Bemis was the engineer, and we asked for a letter stamped by the design engineer, the engineer of record, saying that there's, you know, this is the increase in flow and it will not cause any adverse impact to properties downstream. So that's what we did on one project in the past. It would obviously be up to the whole commission whether that would be acceptable on this one. But that was the only comment that I have.
And we can provide a letter similar to that if needed. I'll consult with the stamping engineer. And we
Okay.
can get a letter. Yeah.
Ben, is that a gate to moving this forward at this point?
You know, to be consistent with our past practice, honestly, I feel that this is something that we should have in hand, you know, before making a decision on this.
So not something we can condition. You want to have it in hand and understand it.
Let me think on that. And you don't have a solid recollection of how far away from peak rate attenuation you were on the 100-year? I mean, I suspect it
No,
wasn't terribly far, but
I can go and grab it right now. I just don't know it off the top of my head. It's in HydroCAD and everything. It just would take me a few minutes to go and dig that up. Sorry about that.
yeah.
See how close it is to it.
Yeah, Mark, my only hesitation is that it sounds like Dan is not the engineer who will be stamping this. So we would be conditioning our approval on the receipt of something that, you know, we don't know if the responsible engineer here is going to be able to or comfortable with issuing that.
Yep. Understand.
One other option, Dan, if you think it's something that you can get, you know, in the next 15 minutes, I think our next hearing won't be very long. Just comments back. So if you wanted to table this for a little while and come back to it after the car condos, that's another option.
Yeah, I could definitely see if I can get a number in that short of, yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
This worst case scenario, we'll still continue it later on in the meeting. You can even send me an email if you don't find anything.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, I'll jump into the calculations as soon as the next topic. So.
All right. So what we'll do for now is we'll table this. We'll do the next public hearing, and we'll come back to this. If Dan has got some information, then we'll entertain it then. And if not, we'll have to continue it.
Understood.
Okay. Melissa, your audio was really garbled. Is it just me or is everybody hearing the same thing?
No, that's what Laura told me. Is it still garbled?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll try and fix that in the meantime.
I mean, I can deal with it.
Yeah.
It's just that it's kind of raspy. Anyway.
Yeah, I can hear what you're saying, but it's not your normal voice.
Okay. Next up is NOI and S&P 241 to 245 Turnpike Road. membership club and car storage in accordance with the provisions of the Southborough Stormwater and Erosion Control Bylaw, Southborough Zoning Code, Chapter 174, Section 13.5, Wetlands Protection Act, Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Southborough Wetlands Bylaw. The Southborough Conservation Commission will hold a continued public hearing on Thursday, March 9, 2023 at 7:10 p.m. via virtual Zoom meeting on the petition of Park House 241 LLC for the demolition of the existing buildings and development of a two-story membership club and car storage building, map 27, lots 8 and 9.
Good evening. My name is
Good
Dave Lapointe with Beals and Thomas, representing Park House 241 LLC, related to the project that you mentioned that's located at 241, 245 Turnpike Road. It's the what's being referred to as the car condos, basically a two-story private garage for the essentially parking of the intent is for high-end kind of collector cars to create kind of a club atmosphere. And we had met a couple of weeks ago. We had received comments from your peer review consultant, Fuss and O'Neill, as well as Lucas Environmental. We did revise the plans and stormwater calculations in trying to address those comments, and resubmitted revised information, and we have not received a response back from Fuss and O'Neill yet. However, we did just get the one from Lucas Environmental maybe half an hour ago. So I've looked through it quickly, and I think for the most part, their letter was pretty much okay with the items that we had, or the revisions that we had made. But of course, your consultant is here and he can speak to that. But as a result of not getting the Fuss and O'Neill letter, I don't know how much we want to get into what we've done at this point, or just we're willing to continue till the next meeting to be able to have a chance to get their letter and then provide any kind of responses as needed.
Mark, you're on mute. Sorry. We're doing great tonight. Is my audio any better?
A little bit.
A little bit. Yep. Sorry about being on mute. Since our consultant Lucas Environmental is here, is there anything that we want to try to, clear up this evening with respect to responses or anything quickly? Obviously, we're going to have to continue because we don't have Fuss and O'Neill's response.
Through the chair.
Please.
Yeah, the revised plans addressed many of the comments that we had submitted. The wetland flag revisions were made, and although I haven't looked at those in the field, they do appear appropriate on the site plan, and in fact, almost identical to where I had sketched in the line on my field notes. The applicant has indicated that they've provided a invasive species management plan, which was requested in our first review. However, I think it's a little bit short on detail. The extent is essentially a note on the plan stating that the contractor shall cut existing invasive vegetation and tarp the area to eradicate invasive vegetation and coordinate with the Southborough Conservation Commission. I would recommend a little more detail on the plan and a construction phase invasive species management plan to make sure that they're not tracking anything off-site or making things worse on-site. We had also requested they took a look at the small area where they were proposing work within the 20-foot no work zone, and they did that and pulled that outside of the 20-foot zone. We had asked they look at the cultivars that were indicated on their planting plan, and they had revised that and are now proposing straight native species. We also requested that they provide a stabilized construction entrance on the site plans. That has also been done, as well as the detail on that. And I think the last thing was that DEP has issued a file number with a couple of technical comments, a couple on stormwater, and one that referred to the commission considering possibly requiring vegetation between the limit of work and the wetland. And I think they have moved the work outside of the 20-foot no work zone. And I think with a beefed up invasive management plan that may or may not address the comment by DEP based on the commission's feelings on that. So that's the extent of my comments.
Okay, thank you. Any response from the applicant, or do you want to take this back and digest it a little bit and formally respond at the next meeting?
Yeah, at this point, we would probably need a little bit more time to address that additional information for the invasive species management, as well as then obviously the Fuss and O'Neill letter too. So yeah, at this point, we're willing to just continue to the next meeting and then hopefully come back with responses to their letter, as well as if they had anything outstanding, that is, and additional information, like I said, about the invasive species management. So.
Okay. Let me just open up to the commission members in case they have any additional homework assignments for you. Anything from anyone? Nope, I'm seeing head shakes left and right. So I think that's it. So with that, do I hear a motion to continue to the next meeting, which is March?
Do you want to do public comment first?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Anybody from the public would like to comment, please raise your hand and Melissa will let you in.
Not seeing any.
Okay.
And is the 30th.
March 30th. Okay. So do we hear a motion to continue to March 30th?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor via roll call vote?
Lulick,
Yes.
Barrington,
Yes.
Gregory,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Passamato.
Yes. All right. Thank you.
Great. Thanks a lot.
Yep. Have a good evening.
Too.
Okay. That concludes the public hearings. So new and or continued business. We have a request for certificate of compliance. Stormwater permit, 7 Chestnut Hill Road.
Yes, I have them here. Just give them a second to load in.
Okay. Wonderful.
All right, we're good to go?
Good to go. If you can hear me.
Yes, Ken. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Bert, can I just jump in for a second? I just wanted
Absolutely.
to kind of start this out by introducing everyone, because I know that Elizabeth may not know everyone on this team from the trustees. Mike Francis is our stewardship manager for the Charles River Valley. Bob Murray is our director of structures and is with our building and structures team. Bert is our outside engineer who has been working on this project from the get-go. So I wanted to be sure that you were aware of, who all these folks were. And I was also wanted to acknowledge Ben, because we are very appreciative, Ben, that you took time out of your weekend to go out to the farm to do an engineering review that was needed for the certificate of compliance. So we really appreciate that effort and just wanted to go on record to thank you. So Bert, it's all yours.
Okay, great. Just share my screen. Should be up now, right?
Yeah.
So just to review, the project is essentially completed. The barn was constructed. The parking area was constructed. And what we've done is we've gone back and we've taken a look at the final construction, and we've created this as-built. We have noted some of the differences between what the design plan was and the as-built. So just to go through those items, which I can do pretty quickly here. First item is A, which is this tool shed that was here. The tool shed was originally to be demolished and replaced with a grass surface. It did not get demolished. The Historic Commission preferred that it remain in place as a tool shed. So didn't get demolished. I have looked at the condition associated with that for a stormwater runoff. Is not a problem. I put it back into the HydroCAD model. I swapped out the open space in the roof areas just to see if it would have an impact. And because of the size of this property and because of the size of this project, that 313 square feet really didn't make a difference as far as the runoff, whether it was peak flow or volume or even the CN number for that matter. So didn't have a big impact on that part of it. B, this used to be a concrete pad, which was used for washing the vegetables. It has since been enclosed with a building. As part of that construction, there was a trench drain that was placed in there, and there was some additional infrastructure that takes the wash water from that drain and empties it out just above the field area here. So it discharges out into a grass area. Number C, or letter C, is I'm not exactly sure where. I believe it's this light pole that's here. Unfortunately, this light pole is just north of the conservation restriction line. It's only by a couple of feet, but nevertheless, it was installed on there. There's no property line that's shown on a dirt area. So during the installation, I think the contractor, did their best effort to put it in the area that they thought they were in. Just so happens that it was slightly outside of the conservation restriction, or inside the conservation restriction. Moving on to D, wherever that one may be. Right outside the area between this tool shed that remained in place and the existing garage. This was going to be just all paved area as it is today. But there was a gate that was placed on this area, really to prevent people from driving in that area. One of the questions that came up as we were submitting these as-built was, whether that would preclude the use of any kind of an emergency vehicle driving through there. So Captain Dano went back out to the site, took a look at the gate, noticed that there was a potential for this being locked. He wouldn't have a problem with it if it remained unlocked. The trustees of reservations have agreed that they will not lock this gate and it will not interfere with emergency access vehicles going into that space. Next one is a little bit more benign, but it's a change nevertheless. The parking spaces that were slated for some of the employee parking are smaller than what was originally proposed. These spaces are only 13 to 14 feet deep, whereas they should have been 18 feet. But by getting the 18 feet, we would have had to have cut into this grass area. So the pavement remains the same in that respect, but they're just slightly smaller. Doesn't seem to be creating any kind of an issue for anyone. Same thing with these parking spaces. They're slightly smaller than what they should have been as far as the length goes, but doesn't seem to be creating any kind of an issue for the barn itself or the farm. And then the last one, I believe, is the water line. Originally, we had proposed a water line coming off of Chestnut Hill and running across this pavement and up to the barn. It just so happens that there was a water service that was coming through here from this number 9 building, and it was connected to the barn from there. Apparently that was approved by the water department for that installation. So that's it real quickly as far as the modifications to the final plan here. So if you have any questions, I think we're all here. We can provide you with any other additional detailed information.
Ben, you went out there and you did an assessment?
Yeah, and also took a good look at the plan, which I would like to point out is an excellent example of an actual red line as-built plan. This is what we ask for within our regulations, and we seldom see one prepared so completely, and it was refreshing and made the review process frankly a breeze to go through. You know, changes in red and deviations shown clouded. It was, it made it an easy process. So there are a couple of changes or fixes within the stormwater operation and maintenance plan. Nothing minor. One area that called for periodic reports to be submitted to the town engineer. We don't have one, so I suggested that be replaced with the town conservation agent. And then there was a typo in another area. Let's see, Bert talked about the tool shed, the small garage that was originally slated for demolition. That's the historical commission asked to be preserved. I certainly agree with him that the amount of stormwater that be contributed by 300 some odd square feet is not a large amount. We talked about this during the original approval process for the permit. The project's a little bit unique in that it's a tiny little corner of a very large parcel, and the stormwater drainage heads towards the northeast or up and to the right as we look at it generally. And there's such a long overland flow path for this stormwater to travel over that there's simply no chance of an increase in flow actually reaching a property line. And this was another case where I believe it was Bert who submitted a stamped letter as part of the application process, simply attesting to that in his professional opinion, that no increase in stormwater flow would reach the property line. And I agree with his assessment that this additional 300 and some odd square feet of impervious isn't going to change that. The only thing that I would say that I would recommend to the commission that we conduct a quick vote before issuing the certificate of compliance and just approve this change as just an administrative amendment to the stormwater permit, just to sort of dot that I. And then the light pole, this isn't necessarily germane to the SMP and the certificate of compliance, but our role as holder of the CR is something we need to think about. It scales out on the plan as being something like 18 inches over the property line. It's not a massive encroachment. It doesn't seem to interfere with any of the protected values. But nonetheless, it is within the conservation restriction area. I proposed one way of dealing with it, which is to, let it. We can, of course, we have the authority to order its removal. We can also, I think, come up with some sort of agreement that it can stay for some period of time, or until the pole or fixture, requires replacement or substantial repair. Then at that time it would need to be removed. Something along those lines. I don't know that this particular meeting is the place to sort that out. This is with regards to stormwater, but I think we should address this at some point before too long. I don't think it's something we should just entirely ignore. I think there's probably an easy fix. And that was it. Other than that, it looks great, and I don't see any barriers to us issuing the certificate of completion tonight.
And just so for the record, Bert did update that O&M and submitted it to me earlier this week, so I do have that as part of the record.
Very good. Any other comments from other commission members? No, so so I think we can take a motion to issue the certificate of compliance.
Mark, I guess I would, in terms of leaving the building, I think if the trustees had come to us simply addressing that issue, we'd say, well, we just need to do an administrative amendment to the stormwater permit. And I think to be consistent with our past practice, maybe we want to just conduct a quick vote to amend the permit so that we can then find that the project is in compliance with the amended permit. That makes sense?
With respect to the 313 feet of,
Yeah, the tool shed that's remaining.
Yeah,
That wasn't
right,
taken down. If that's okay with folks on the commission.
I'm good with that, yeah.
That's
Just to dot that I.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to, make the motion that we amend the stormwater permit to reflect that the tool shed was not taken down.
And that the result of that is negligible and non-impacting.
Just to confirm, that's an administrative amendment. correct?
Yes, correct.
Just want to clarify.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
All in favor?
Kulik,
Yes.
Barrington,
Yes.
Gregory,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Osmato.
Yes. Now, is there a motion to issue the certificate of compliance?
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay. All in favor?
Kulik,
Yes.
Barrington,
Yes.
Gregory,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
and Osmato.
Yes.
Super.
Okay, thank you. And Ben, I kind of liked your idea of dealing with the pole at a particular point in time when it may fail or require maintenance or something like that. That seemed to resonate with me.
Yeah, it seems that way we can sort of, everyone's goals can kind of be met here. You'll already have the equipment out there to take care of it. And, at the end of the day, it technically, we've got to protect the CR area.
All right. Thank you,
All
everyone.
right, thank you all.
Thank you, Ben, for the kind words. Appreciate that, especially saying it in front of the client. Awesome.
Have a
Take
good
care,
night.
everyone.
And there go the
you all.
rates.
Yeah, I'll touch base with you about the light, and we can work on kind of an agreement in the meantime.
Perfect. That's fine. Thanks, everybody. Have a good evening.
Yep, thank you.
Bye.
Okay, before we move on, I'd like to circle back around to see if Dan has been able to make any headway on the first hearing that we had.
I think he's loading back in.
Hello, yes, I was able to get some answers for you.
Oh, great.
We have the numbers from the pre and post, just to compare with the 10-year. The 10-year was existing at 0.27 CFS, proposed down to 0.25 CFS. And existing for the 100-year storm is 0.58 CFS. And the proposed would be 1.21 CFS. So that's an increase of 0.63 CFS for the 100-year storm.
Okay. And in the interim here, I was just sort of looking at the surrounding area. It appears that this drainage will reach the wetland and thence the Sudbury Reservoir system without passing over any adjacent property. Is that property owned by others? Is that a correct statement?
That it would pass through other properties?
Or excuse me, it'll pass underneath, well, No, there's a small piece of the reservoir system on the south side of Route 9, and I believe the flow path of this, of the extra impervious area
Mhm.
will go to the adjacent wetland, and from the wetland, then to the Sudbury Reservoir system without flowing over land belonging to others. In other words, from this subject property to DCR property.
Yes,
Is that correct?
I would actually have to research that more to confirm that statement as well.
Right.
But I'm almost positive you're right, but I would just,
Ben,
I can't
I
say it
don't-
for sure, yes.
I think.
I don't think so if the locust map on the front cover is any good.
Let
Oh,
me share, I have
There's
Moss
another
map.
piece of dirt that intersects that.
oh, okay.
So it's because of the weird property lines of 200 and 206. So 200 wraps around the back. I can share this really quickly.
It must be so they get frontage on Middle Road.
Yep. So this is 206.
Oh,
So it's just this weird,
that little
yeah.
Yep.
Peters project that we've
Yeah.
been. Looking at the, you know, the adjacency, how nearby the reservoir, when we can see the blue area, which is that part of the reservoir south of Route 9. It's tough to imagine that the engineer who's stamping this project would feel uncomfortable, you know, asserting that there's no adverse impact. But, you know, the property in between that thin little strip has no infrastructure on it. I don't know. It makes me feel a little more comfortable with what you suggested, Mark, that if we conditioned it, an approval on the receipt of a letter from the engineer asserting that there is no adverse impact from this relatively minor increase in flow during the 100-year storm.
So let me see if I think I heard what I heard, that the existing condition was 0.5,
0.58.
0.58, and the post-construction condition is an increase of 0.6,
0.63 CFS.
which is more than double.
Correct.
That's not insignificant. When I do my math anyways, I mean, that's, it's, so I think we need, from my perspective, I think we need an assessment from the engineer that's stamping the plan with respect to this. I don't know if others are in agreement or not, but
No, I'm with you, Mark. I don't think it's going to be a Herculean effort necessarily to demonstrate no adverse impact. But, you know, I certainly take Mark's point that it's a significant enough increase that the commission should ask for it to be demonstrated.
yeah, and it's going into the, you know, Sudbury, you know, backup reservoir system. It's, you know, it's an outstanding resource area.
Understood. Yeah, we can provide a further analysis on that. Would it be a stamped letter on top of some other type of analysis, HydroCAD, or what would you be looking for?
If you provided an analysis demonstrating that there is no adverse impact downstream,
Okay.
that would resolve the entire issue.
Okay. Yep, we can work on that. Yep.
Because based on what Melissa showed us, it is flowing over somebody else's deeded property as well. It puts us in a kind of precarious situation. Okay, I would say with that, we need to continue this as well. Do I hear a motion to continue?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Zulik,
Yes.
Barrington,
Yes,
Gregory,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Osmanno.
Yes.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks. Have a good
Have a
night.
good night.
Been around 6 grandkids for a week. I'm struggling. Okay. Next up, request for a certificate of compliance. 154, 156 Northborough Road, DEP number 290, 892.
Yeah, so this is both for the stormwater and for the wetlands permit. For some of you that haven't been around in a while, this one has been kicking around. Has had a couple iterations. This is the contractor bays that are on Northborough Road, right by the town line with Marlborough. They've had some back and forth kind of over the past year. I thought Peter or someone else was going to be here, but I don't see them in the audience. And we've finally gotten to the conclusion where all of the Fuss and O'Neill comments and Lucas comments have been resolved. The planning board does have a bond for the plants to ensure that the success and the correct plants have been put in there. So that is kind of the one remaining item that is still not yet checked off, but that wasn't a condition of any of our permits because of or we just didn't have anything in terms of monitoring as we sometimes do for these plants. They are within the garden, so it's kind of encompassed in the operation and maintenance plan of ongoing that any field plants do need to be replanted. But there, like I said, there is a bond with the planning board. So if they do fail within the next, I'm not sure if it's year or 2 years, there is a mechanism to get them replaced if the builder does not. So my recommendation is to issue the certificate of compliance for both the stormwater and wetlands, as everything within our jurisdiction has been rectified.
Okay, thank you. With that, do I hear a motion?
so I had one question on the, there was that comment about the 20-foot no
Yes.
touch not being on the as-built.
So that's a
I was-
carryover from another permit from before I started. So it got captured in, I think, about 10 order of conditions. And I did figure out, so when I started, I figured out which one it originated from, and I've isolated those that have that one condition.
Okay, because I couldn't find the 20-foot no touch on the as-built plans themselves.
Yeah, because
And so
plan,
are
yeah.
we certain there's nothing going in there or over that line? Okay,
that was for a property on Parkerville, that specific condition. I think
Do we need to do one then the other, or?
if you're comfortable with doing them in one vote, that's fine, or you can do them separately.
I'm comfortable with one vote.
Motion to
So
approve and
we'll
vote.
see who makes the motion.
Motion to
Second.
approve both. Yeah.
And Liz second, perfect.
Okay, all in favor?
Zulik,
Yes.
Barrington,
yes.
Gregory,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Osmanno.
Yes.
So the last certificate of compliances on this list are going to be continued. I did send you guys my reviews for these. It's my feeling that there's still some outstanding items. I didn't see the filter strip at 61 Breakneck Hill. 151 Middle is the one that is on the trolley tracks, and that I still find the landscape bed is essentially like a frozen ledge. So there's like, so I don't know if it's a half silt fence now, but there's a buried silt fence that still looks like it's holding up a lot of that stump grinding mulch landscaping bed. And because I think one of its saving graces is that it's frozen. So there's even like this ledge of just mulch that I think once warm weather comes, will go. And there's no elevations on the Coltech unit, so I'm not sure if they have the right capacities, and just making sure that there's the cleanup or clean out cap on top. I didn't see those in the field only because there was snow as well, so I couldn't verify those. So Peter's going to take another look at those and get back with the builder. And hopefully by the next meeting, we have some of those fixes. But in the meantime, my reviews and some of the pictures are in the Dropbox.
Thank you. Any comments from anybody? No? Okay. All right, so now we're on to other business.
Yes. So active sites, I've just been working with a lot of them because we did have that snow, just making sure that people aren't pushing snow where they're not supposed to, fixing some of the erosion controls. They were kind of making a little bit of a mess on that corner of Turnpike and Deerfoot, the Capital Group one. So they fixed that up a little bit. And I think that's pretty much it. I know the Fayetteville Hall has started. I still haven't seen any amended plans. So I'm not sure where they rely in that aspect, but as of right now, I've reminded them that, you know, the plan of record is still this specific one, and if they're changing, then they need to get that submitted. For Breakneck Hill, we did get supportive votes from both advisory and select board as of last night for the warrant article. I attended advisory last night and gave the update and kind of explanation of the costs and the funding. And also I think our Taylor from TRC is still working on the cleanup plan. We're gonna, I think, talk with Jim McQuaid next week just to go over some of his initial comments. And Sam Stivers is going to be the one who is giving the background for this article. He has kindly stepped up to do that. So I've been working on him with just some quick materials to present in a one-pager FAQ. So today I did find the original warrant article from the approval and, you know, the information from the state self-help grant. So kind of working that in there as well. So that's my update for the dump. I don't know if anyone has any other questions on that one. And then if not, so for the SMP bylaw and regulations update, we also got supportive votes from advisory and select board on all 3 of our warrant articles because I'd have the wetland and floodplain overlay district as well. I had a really good conversation with the last planning board meeting on 2/27 from after Ben's initial introductions to it. They didn't have any questions coming out of my last meeting. I gave them some background about kind of what other communities do with this particular bylaw, what it means taking it out of the zoning code, what happened with this Cool Street Solar. And I kind of went over when I had initially made that spreadsheet of the town's bylaws and where they are and why, I did some kind of further looking and determining that a lot of the ones that are in the general bylaws are the ones that are promulgated only by the Conservation Commission, and the ones in the zoning code are more so either like a DPW permit review. So there's not kind of an additional person that enacts it because they're not really in part of the construction process, or it's a committee of other committees essentially. So it's kind of all over the place. So having the building commissioner as the zoning enforcement officer made sense. But with us having a conservation commission who is already a permitting board with an already staff person who enforces them, it just kind of followed the same trend as well. I think the only outstanding comment I've had from the public still remains from Jack Bartolini, and that goes to the appeal process. He still would like to see appeals go to ZBA, but that was kind of one of our fundamental changes that we are looking for. And also the difference in the tree clearing versus kind of no grub versus grub, which I think is a typical developer comment. So I think that's a good one to have. Maybe we are doing something right, but those I think are the two ones that I have at least heard.
I jump in for half a second, Melissa. I ran into Mimi Luttrell Monday night at the town moderators, pre-ATM meeting, and she pointed out, I'd forgotten this, that the minor site plans issued by the planning board used to be appealed to the ZBA, and they went and made the same change. And it was accepted by town meeting, overwhelmingly. So, history is sort of on our side with this, I think. It was good to hear that.
Yeah, and she's actually the one who gave me that initial language for the appeal. So she's been following along. I think, not to speak for her, but I think the planning board is typically supportive of this. So I'm hoping they don't make their vote typically until the day of town meeting at their pre-town meeting. So I did talk with the town planner today, and she kind of confirmed she didn't hear anything else from other members. So I'm hoping that they'd also have favorable votes to these. But that's kind of where we are with now. Laura also did mention to me that the ZBA is going to just mention it at their next meeting. They didn't seem to have any concerns about it as well, but just in case they are asked of their opinion at town meeting, they want to be prepared with a response. So if I get any other information from that, I will definitely disseminate that to commissioners. That's all I have on the bylaw stuff.
So I would say this, that not knowing planning board's position until the night of the meeting is uncomfortable.
They do that for every article,
It's
unfortunately.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I'll say publicly unprofessional, right? I can't do that in my job. I can't, right? You need to not walk into a lion's den. You know, you need to have the support or know where you are standing with the support.
It is something, they do have one more meeting on Monday where they're talking about all the warrant articles. If it's something that the commission feels strongly, I'm more than happy to request, put in a request to the board through the town planner that the planning board does consider making a favorable or unfavorable action.
Well, whatever decision they make,
Yeah.
I mean,
Or
just
maybe-
not knowing is uncomfortable. You know, they meet Monday night.
They meet Monday, yep,
That's the 13th.
yes.
I'll see if I can attend.
Okay. I can send out the agenda with the times. I'll double check what,
Well, the time's not going to matter. I mean,
it's not, but at least you won't be before a certain time, so.
yeah. The time won't matter, but
But okay, I will send that out. And if that's something that the commission feels strongly about, I'm planning on.
well, I don't know if the commission feels strongly about it. Mark does. It's just-
Going in the town meeting and the idea of going to the town meeting, getting kneecapped like that would be horrifying.
Yeah,
I
mean-
wonder if the planning board, you know, if they're really set on their past practice, if they'd feel comfortable, at least just giving us a straw vote or something. So we're not walking in fear of, you know, just having our legs swept out from under us.
Mhm. Okay. I'll talk with Karina tomorrow and see what her thoughts are. Well, if
Think about it. All
yeah.
our applicants get to withdraw without prejudice. Why
Yeah.
should we be putting any others in the same, in a different spot? It's basically all we're asking.
Yeah.
Where are you heading with this?
You know, and waiting until it's on the town floor to find an answer. I don't know.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'll follow up with that and I'll send out the agenda for Monday's meeting, just so you guys have it if anyone would like to attend. But I will be there in case they do have questions as well. I think that's it for town meeting, unless anyone has some other questions. I think the only item that we are the only specific sponsor on is the removal from the zoning code. So that might be something that one of you might need to be prepared to make the motion. I'm not sure if maybe Ben or Kevin, if anything came out of that pre-town meeting that would be useful.
Yeah, Paul Semino asked who would be making the motion. Mark, I said it would likely be our chair. And if you were unable to, then it would possibly be me. I'm trying to shuffle things around so that I can make it to town meeting. It's not a sure thing at this point, but it's looking more likely.
And that's the 26th, is that right?
25th.
That sounds right.
I think it's.
It's Saturday, the 25th.
25th.
Oh, fifth,
Yep.
okay,
I can't go. That's why I'm very aware of the date.
okay. We have some family stuff going on that keeps my weekends kind of up in the air right now, but we'll see as we get closer. I'll let folks know.
One thing is unlike many articles, we're not going to be doing a PowerPoint presentation or anything like that. We're going to be providing, Melissa should have been in touch with you already. A list of frequently asked questions or just a handout summarizing it. We have to have that prepared and we bring that to town meeting and put it on the table. Or talk to Jim Hegarty and show it to him and he'll give us permission to put it on the table.
Yeah, I'll work out that process. I'll send out the FAQ. I'm hoping by, I think Tuesday, Sam sent me some of his information for the Breakneck article. So I'm going to be working on those tomorrow and Monday to hopefully be done by Tuesday. So we can get disseminated to the various entities to make sure that they're kind of kosher with it and then have it ready to be printed and day of material.
Yeah, Jim was very clear that the article sponsors are responsible for doing the printing of the handouts. And I guess I just say, like, just from past experience, the colored ones are nicer. We should have a green one.
Okay.
Very good.
I will obtain some green paper. All right.
Make sure it's recycled.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think technically we have to buy recycled paper from the town. It's one of the policies. Anyways, all right. Anything else about town meeting? No? Okay. The last order of business that I have at least is just a quick update about 84 Main Street. So I've been back and forth with town council trying to get kind of understanding of what some of our possibilities and next steps are. I think at this point, the best way forward to get maybe more concise answers is determining which basic track that we want to follow, or if there's anything we do not want to follow. So I kind of outlined 3 very simple paths that the commission could take. The first one is do nothing, let the structures remain and do not amend the restrictive covenant. So one of the town council has stated that no municipal entity is ever required to enforce them as long as there's not a time restriction or that it doesn't end after a certain amount of time. This is not time barred. So at any time, the commission could pick this up in the future, whether it's, the makeup of this current commission or 50 years in the future. And they say, hey, there's a generator there that needs to go.
So they don't have the same as squatters' rights.
Right. So that's option number 1. Number 2 would to not require them to remove the structures, but amend the restrictive covenant, probably in the 2-to-1 ratio that was provided or proposed by the owner and his representative. This appears to be possible because it's not a formal conservation restriction. It wasn't anything that was required to be done per a town meeting vote. So it doesn't need town meeting to further amend. It would just be a vote of the Conservation Commission, I believe, but I'm still waiting for further clarification on that. This would require a new plan of land that most likely the commission would ask the owner to be the cost of that because they were the ones who went into this area. I haven't quite gotten the real specifics as much as I wanted to from town council of what it would actually entail to amend the restrictive covenant itself. So if that's a process that we want to expend forward, then I can talk to council a little bit more explicitly about that and push on that one. And then the third is basically require removal of structures and complete compliance with the restrictive covenant. So very kind of cut and dry, would most likely require litigation, which would also require select board authorization if we choose to litigate. That also, there's also the issue about who actually owns the property. So the current owner is not the previous, it's the wife of the previous owner. So the person who's on the deed right now is not technically the exact people we have been speaking to. So as we move forward, I brought up the point and council agreed that at some point we do need to make sure that we have authorization from the owner of record, that they're understanding, or that these people can work on their behalf. So I think that's the three main gists, and I wanted to kind of just get an understanding from the commission of which ones are not on the table and which ones we want to explore further, and possibly have town council focus on, whether it's an executive session or just attending a meeting, or providing some sort of information to us. That's all I got.
It's a mouthful. So we did sort of, I think we sort of asked for an executive session so that we could kind of walk through this and ask questions and get answers more specifically. And, the questions you've asked and the answers have come back have been kind of a lingo puzzle for me.
Me too.
So from my perspective, whether it's 1, 2, or 3, I would like to understand more of the ramifications of each of them.
Okay.
Before we go down a path, from my perspective. So in the past, with prior town council, we had, some successes in getting them in front of us, and kind of working through and talking through these things. We have not had that experience yet with this town council. But from my perspective, I would like to bring them in, have executive session to understand what, option 1, option 2, and option 3 of you laid out means. When you say litigation for number 3, that's go to court. So what's the result of that, and what are we trying to get out of that, right? From the 3 things that you laid out for me, I kind of pivot towards number 2, but I don't understand all the ramifications of that either. So
I will definitely.
that's just me speaking.
Yeah, I can definitely.
I think I generally lean that way also, but I want to be involved, or us to be involved in picking where this piece of dirt extends. It's not just going to be willy-nilly on their little behalf. It's not always what's best for them.
Does anyone remember why the line was drawn where it was drawn?
Because of the beech
Yeah.
tree. So it was to protect the historic beech tree that's there, and also because the commission not necessarily gave up jurisdiction of the isolated wetland or the pond area that's there, but to further ensure that that isn't filled in the future.
It was also because they were trying to subdivide the lot or show that the lot had more value in a subdivision. So this really knuckled down and protected that area. Is that basically right, Ben?
Yeah, it is. And also, what Melissa said, this is an area that was subject to ponding. It acted as sort of an informal detention pond that mitigated, flow coming out of the property. And it was to ensure that that function remained on the property and that the tree was protected. And also, so one question that I have, it sounds like town council has given a little bit of an opinion on it, but I'm still confused. This restrictive covenant, I had heard it described as an easement in years past. I thought it was an easement. And in any case, my understanding is if you're talking about an interest in real property, to change that in any way requires going to town meeting. Now, if we could do this without going to town meeting, that's great. I'm just very surprised that that would be the case. You'll all recall we've at town meeting had vote on acquiring easements before or modifying easements. It's so anyhow, I saw a town council for the very first time Monday night, So he does actually exist. It'd be great if we could get him to just to one of our meetings, as Mark, as you said, just so we could go into executive session and ask some of these questions. Sounds like number 2 of the various routes is, to me, makes the most sense. Number 3, it sounds like if selectmen gave us permission, we would spend a ton of money and end up, frankly, not in a necessarily better position than we would get with the second approach, which is trying to work together a little bit, expand the area under the restrictive covenant and so forth. That's my opinion.
Yeah, that was my thought too. I mean, number 3 is essentially a rock fight, so. And I don't think that, what, Russ?
We'd be better off in a rock fight.
It depends on your aim.
Volume. Just go with volume.
I'll follow up on the easement thing, because at least I just pulled up the restrictive covenant very quickly, and it doesn't say easement anywhere.
Okay.
It always refers to it as a covenant area or a restricted zone.
Okay. Like I
And
said, if we can do it without going to town meeting, that just makes it even easier to resolve this.
Yeah.
yeah, and not having met town council and the fact that we need to, utilize his resources from time to time, it would also be good to have him be here face to face and meet him.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, I will push a little bit more firmly, see if he will attend our next meeting, and kind of give him an update of what we at least discussed, so he's prepared for those types of questions.
and for Elizabeth and Kevin who haven't participated in that in the past, so typically we start a half hour earlier, invite council in and have executive session, and then try to get through our business with them prior to our meeting start.
It can also be.
That works.
Yeah, or if it works out better for us to do a special meeting, I can also do that as well.
Yeah, and the other's that option too.
But usually I think, yeah, we have been sticking to the half hour before.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Okay. Wow. An hour and 12 minutes. That may be a record.
Not bad.
All right, do we hear a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Is there a second? Okay, all in favor?
Zulik,
Yes.
Barrington,
Yes.
Gregory,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Alsamato.
Yes. All right, all. Have a good evening.
Good night,
Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone.
Right.